Okay. Okay. And so second thing is this week we have like a double header. And so there's also a session on Friday that Alex is going to be talking about the breakout problems and the pop-up shop problems. Um, hey Annie. Um, and so for the starter code, you can find that in the forum with a link to Google. And so what's special about this Friday, it's the day before my birthday. So I'm waking up at 7 a.m. to host a Zoom. So I hope attendance will be great. And then also just as like a special sneak preview, we're gonna have one of those like geography quizzes. And by popular demand, okay, Alex is actually offering an hour of his time to the winner. And so if you want to pick his brain, okay, that's definitely your chance. I think he would be kind of disappointed if like nobody gets it right or attendance is low. And then next week, I'm going to talk about images just because no one else seems to want to talk about images. And so for the assignment and starter code, that's also in the Google Drive already. And then for the next couple of weeks, the schedule has been posted and they can be found on the forum as well. And so Emma is not here today, but she will be performing again this Sunday. And so if you guys are in the Bay Area and missed her, she's a great singer, a great musician. Hopefully you can continue to like cheer her on. And then I feel kind of strange since Dieter is here, but since like Emma and Chris and Alex are not here, at least the majority are not here. Last year we tried to do this more um, m- um, more secretly. But I had to gather everybody's like email, and that was sort of a pain. And so this year, since there are so many more participants, I've decided I'm not going to go around like gathering people's email. And so I'm just gonna say, Theater, you're the only one who's like hearing this, and so you're not gonna like spill the beans, okay? Um, Basically, I've put up three Kudo boards. And so to make Life After Code in Place possible, besides like Alex and Chris, who actively teaches, there's a lot of other people that helped. Dieter has been there every week helping with breakout rooms. He's leading the session today. Same thing with Emma. And then she'll probably be talking about a session later on API as well. And so what the Kudo board is, it's just a sort of like a digital board. You can leave like a word or two of like gratitude for all of these individuals that contribute to our education. And so I did post this on the forum as well, but right now the participation, except for Alex, is somewhat anemic. And so I really hope you guys would be willing to just leave a brief note or two for all of these individuals involved. So once Life After Code in Place is done, these will be sent to them electronically. Okay. And then lastly, I talked about this last week. And so for you guys, that may be interested in this program, if you have any skills in like marketing, business, engineering, healthcare, okay, Dieter, I'm talking about you here, okay, or you are in retirement with like very valuable tech skills, looking for something to do, definitely check out this program. You don't have to apply to be a participant. You can actually apply to be a mentor. I actually have more information and talk to the program this week. It sounds incredibly exciting. And so I hope if you guys are interested to check out this program. And then, Dieter, I really hope you will consider like mentoring. Okay, so that's all my announcements. And I'm going to turn it over to Dieter. Okay, stop screen share. Feel free to take it over.
Thank you, Vicky. That was a very nice introduction. So, apologies to everyone ahead of time. I hope I won't run over time. And the second thing, I'm really not, I never studied computer science. So like you, I picked it up on the go. I have done a lot of Jupyter notebook stuff. I've done some VS Code things, and I want to show you some of the fun things you can do with these tools. But I'm certainly not an expert. I don't know everything. There's a lot of options, a lot of commands, and I'll show you a few that I like, but please don't be angry with me if I forget what you like most about it. So there's certainly a lot to dive into, and also these tools are always updated and improved as we go along. So I have the meeting chat open. I think Vicky also will check if you have questions. She might be able to answer some of those. So I'll share my screen. If I find the menu, yeah,
Oh, at the bottom, there's like a green tab that says share.
right. Yeah, so let's see. Okay, now I get the. Okay, I'll share my full screen because I'll be switching back and forth between, say, Git bash and the browser. So this is just the browser that you know. First, I want to start the Anaconda Navigator. I don't know if you have that in Macs. I'm on a Windows machine. Some things will be a little different on Macs or on Linux, but I hope that you have similar ways to start it. So if I start the Anaconda Navigator, I'm assuming here that you all have installed the Anaconda installation or alternatively the Miniconda installation like actually I have done and also installed VS Code in addition to it. So it takes a while to start, and that's not everyone's a big fan of Anaconda. Anaconda is a kind of a universe that's supposedly very compatible with each other, but it has a lot of things that it installs, and so it might take a while. So when you're seeing this, um, that's one way of starting it. The other way would be to go to the Anaconda prompt. Yeah, let's say the PowerShell or the prompt. And from there, you can also start the various programs that I'm starting from here. So you see here that we have the applications that are within the Anaconda universe. We have the installed applications that we can look, and these all have a blue launch button. So the ones I'll show today, you've already seen the Jupyter Notebook. Um, there's the Jupyter Lab, which I'll be using mostly because I like it a little better. Then there's the VS Code that we'll talk about towards the end of this session. So if you want to start it, you could um, start like type it to Jupyter Notebook, and Chris has shown how that works. I can also start it by clicking the launch button here. There's also I think the file, you could probably start it that way as well. And it will open up in the browser if the installation worked properly. And here it is, and it'll go to the local host, that's my computer, and the tree. And so it shows my home directory here. It says the Jupyter server root, which is basically where my documents are. And you've seen this before if you've looked at Chris's teaching. What I want to show you is that if you change this tree here to lab, which is the same as if I went here and clicked on the lab, or Jupyter Lab, or I started it this way and said Jupyter Lab, it will launch the same thing and it'll get to this place here. And you see it looks a little different. It has, again, the browser here. This folder on the left up here is the browser. We can also look at different things like the kernels, what instances of Python are running. I can see workspaces. If you define some, we will not do that. You also have a launcher, and that's basically the same as opening different notebooks, or I can add terminal. What I like about Jupyter Lab versus Notebook is you see you have the launcher is still here, and I can also now say I want to open a notebook. And so I have the notebook on this tab, and I have the PowerShell still on this tab. And that is useful if you have multiple notebooks that you work with. You can keep them all separate, open at the same time. You can switch between them.
Peter, can I ask a question? Can you explain what is the difference between the Jupyter Lab versus the Jupyter Notebook? Like what enhanced features does the lab has?
Um, yeah, the lab, it has the launcher. That's one thing, that if you're a visual person and you like to launch things with an icon, you don't have that option in Jupyter Notebook. And the other thing is the multiple tabs. There's other options in the menus that might be different, but I'm not familiar with all the differences. It's just the lab, I think when you look at Jupyter, at the project, you go to their site, it says that the lab is the newest version, the most up to date. And so they encourage you to use that rather than a notebook. Now, if you are used to opening up notebooks in, say, VS Code, that's a more scaled down version of looking at notebooks, and we'll see it. It's not as nice. It doesn't render HTML code the same. So if you have the Jupyter installation, I would suggest you use Jupyter Lab because you have multiple tabs. Okay. So let's now, when I said, oh no, let's not do that yet. So let's assume I haven't done anything yet. First, I want to see where I am. So this is my directory, and that's the notebook down here, the untitled, that I mistakenly created. So I'll right click on the Windows and I'll delete it. No, I'll have to hit the delete button. So this is my home directory, and you can see that there's a desktop, That's basically the same folder here. That's my home directory, and I'm pretending to be Carol. I want to keep everything together, not in my home directory, but make another folder. So here it is, the plus sign here, that folder. It says new folder, and I'll call it CIP. Now I can browse into that. And so now this is the home folder. This is the CIP subfolder. So we'll keep everything here. If I now go to the launcher and say, let me start a notebook, it appears here. And that's where I want to keep everything. So let's look a little bit about the notebook. And you saw that when Chris presented, I can also make the font a little bigger so it's easier to see. Let's see. This is a cell. It has the brackets here, so that's a code cell. But actually, I want to have some text first. I want to do a markdown. And in the notes in the announcement, there's a a link to a Markdown cheat sheet. That's basically if you use GitHub, if you use Jupyter Notebooks, you want to have nice writing, titles, and so on, you use Markdown. So I want first, that's a heading, and I say that's my intro. Now I want a second level heading, and I say my first notebook. Now you probably remember that Chris showed you how to execute code. We can do it this way, run this cell, and it will render it. If I double click back in it, it goes back to where I can edit it. So here is a line, another. And if I render this, you see it didn't have a line break. So that's something that we need to think of. In Markdown, you need an extra line break for it to render properly. Or you can also decorate it with or indicate it with a syntax like a line break, like you would in a web page. Okay, so now let's see, where are we? What do I want to do next? All right, so we can also include pictures, images, but I don't have one right now, so that we'll do a little later. We can, in the Markdown, we can also say this is italics for emphasis. And so if I include it in these stars, it will be italics. So there's a lot of different tricks you can use in Markdown. You can also make lists and so on. You can also do formulas with the dollar sign. So here's a famous equation by Einstein. All right. So far, so good. I'll show the image after we download some. So I want to switch now to go to GitHub and
Sorry,
find
Jupiter, what did you say about the dollar sign?
formulas. If you want to typeset formulas, like in LaTeX or so, you can use
Why
the
do you
dollar
need
signs.
the dollar sign? Why can't you just type E equals MC squared?
Oh, it will just show like this. If you actually want a superscript, if you want the symbols to be, it just renders it more nicely. And if you use this syntax, you can do much more complex things. You can do fractions and all kinds of things. So for people who want to show math formulas, this is very nice to do.
Well, how would you type fractions?
I would have to look at the Markdown cheat sheet. I think it's a \F. And then you have the A. Let's see. I'm not sure. Or is it how it's separated? Maybe like that. No. You see, it got confused. It's something I typed, it didn't make
Okay.
sense. So the
Um,
F.
but everything you need is in that Markdown tab up there.
Um, uh, I don't know if they have a help. I tried this, and actually from the launcher, there's a Markdown file. You can
Oh, okay.
create the
Okay.
file, but when I tried to render it, it didn't work for me.
Okay.
So um, let's see if we go back to the post. I had a link in that document here, the planned activities. So, or didn't I?
I don't remember seeing it, but
Ah, okay. So I thought I should include that, but I guess I didn't. You well, we can Google it and say
Um,
Markdown
Someone
cheat
in the chat suggested maybe backslash FRAC and
Oh,
then
frac. Yeah.
parentheses.
Yeah. So that maybe this will work. Yes.
Uh,
Okay. Thank you for whoever suggested
yeah,
that.
it was Demetrios.
Yeah. It's been a while since I typeset formulas, so I wasn't entirely sure what it was. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, a markdown is useful. We can look at so the data camp is one I looked at. It's not very good, but so you can look at it, download it, and it has certain um, the italics I showed. There's different ways of doing it, mostly bold. And here are the formula examples, but the headings, tables, break. There's a lot of documentation for Markdown, and there's actually a GitHub repository that's pretty good. The Ultimate Markdown cheat sheet, I think, is a good one. Okay, so let's see, going back here. So I need to move forward in my plan or I will run out of time. Okay, so let's start Git Bash. Now, I don't know, on for me in Windows, I need to actually say Git Bash. I need to run a separate program to get all the Linux like commands. I don't know, on the Mac, you probably can just start the command line, or you could use it from here. It will work here. So Git will launch, but like if I try to look at the directory, some of the Linux commands don't work properly. So that's why I want to use Git Bash. But you can at home use whatever way you are using to use Git. I want to now change into the same directory, which is the CIP. And I can look at what's in there. There's an untitled notebook in there and a markdown document that we created. It's empty. One command I like is list all, list long. So ls is list the files in this directory. The dash is a Linux option. L is for long format. A shows you all, and this will show like there's actually some checkpoints in there, a directory with checkpoints, and that's how Jupyter keeps track of what I've been doing, which cells I've been executing, and it keeps track of that. There's the two files that we have, and these are this directory and the parent directory. Now I'll go open a browser window, and please follow along at home, going to GitHub, because we want to download some files. Right now, I have not signed in, and you can sign in. It works the same, but it's not necessary. If you want to find a public repository, you can do that from here. So I have one that's called Carol-LACIP. So that's Carol dash capital L small a and then CIP all caps. And that's the user that I'm pretending to be here. GitHub has searched. It says there's no repository with that name, but there's one user. Let's go and see what that user has. And so this is the user. We'll see, click on it and see what this user has been doing. And there's two repositories. One is called week1, and that's basically just a copy of what Vicky has uploaded to her Google Drive. We The one I'm interested in now is the demo, and I made that for today to get some starter code. So I clicked on it, and it shows here there's one branch, it's the main branch. We're in the code, so we see the README file here, which is actually a Markdown file. So it pays to learn Markdown language because you'll use it here as well. Here's the cheat sheet. And what we want to do is we want to clone this. So if we go to the code button here, the green button, we can copy the URL. And now it's copied. You could also download a zip if you don't want to use Git on your own computer. You can just zip it and then expand it and look at the files that way. So now I'm going back to Git bash, and I say Git clone, and I paste what I copied before and hit enter. And it says I'm cloning it. And now it's done. If I say lsla, we see that there's that new directory that was created. And I can, I need to copy this way. I can change into it with a change directory. I have to type it, I guess. And it says this is the main branch, so it knows that this is a Git repository. And in a Git repository, you always have the .git hidden directory. And with the -la extension, I can make it visible. It shows. Okay, so we have it all here. These are the same functions, the README, the two sums, the debug, and so on. For those of you who have not yet downloaded the data handbook, the Python data handbook, I haven't done it here, so I'll do that here too. So we want to Python science.
Peter, can you explain what's Git bash again?
It's a tool that we
Compared,
installed.
well, how's Git bash different than GitHub?
Oh, GitHub is the website service. GitHub is owned by Microsoft. They
Okay.
bought it. And
Uh-huh.
there's others like Bitbucket is another repository where people put their code. But
Uh-huh.
GitHub is the service, the website. Git is just a way of controlling versions. So you can do that on your
Right.
computer like Chris showed, or GitHub knows about it and helps you, guides you along. Git bash is a program we downloaded that helps me to have a terminal window that looks more like a Linux window, which
I see.
a lot of people, a lot of coders use Linux because most servers run Linux. And I think the Macs work the same way, the command line.
But Git bash is not necessary, right?
I don't think so. No, I think, yeah, you could. It's just for that listing, I needed to do it. Yeah, we can, within Jupyter, I think we can get the other one. So I just need to
Okay.
find this data science notebook. I I guess it's
If you go to the forum, it's also linked on the forum.
yeah, I think yeah, here it is, that one. It's case sensitive. So we do the same thing. Um, code. Oops. What happened here? Why? There's the code button. So here, code, copy it. So we need to be in the code view. Before, I guess I was in the README, and they have a little, yeah, it just was the image. So I can go here now and say, clone. It's light yellow. I hope you can see it. No, git clone and paste. Okay. And it will do it here as well. Now, if I go to my root directory, the CIP, there's the demo. Where was I? Users Carol. Oh, so I have it in here now, where I didn't really want it. But anyway, I'm closing this window again, opening PowerShell with Jupyter. Within Jupyter, if you have Jupyter Lab, the shell is here, terminal. That's basically the PowerShell. Last week, I guess, or 2 weeks ago, when we worked before, people had opened the notebooks and looked at this, and there's no images and there's no links to the next chapter. And that's because that's the very old version. What we want is the version 1. And here, if you have the preface, you see the picture and you see, yeah, the graphics is all there, and we can move forward by clicking on this blue link at the bottom here. And so Chris was showing NumPy, for example. Let me, I want to show you how to restore this if we mess it up. So I say, okay, this is a cell here. We can look how the links work, how the image was included here. And I can render it again if I hit Shift Enter. But let me just remove that cell. Oh, there is the trash symbol. Now it's gone, and I save it. So if I close it and open it again, that image is no longer there. Did I close the wrong one? Okay, let's do it again. And let's get rid of that too, so it's obvious. Where's the trash? There. Okay. Save and create checkpoint. Okay. So we saved it, and now let's see. Okay, it's gone. Now I say, oops, I did, let's see where we are. We can actually open the PowerShell again. And we're in the data science notebook. We need to get back up to where the Git directory is, and we can say Git status. And we see we have modified some files here. I opened the first one. I guess I modified both of them. Let's see. Okay, if you're not sure what the commands are in Git, you can say Git help, and it will tell you. It has these headings like start a new area, work in the current area, examine the history. So we can look at some of those. Like I said already, Git status, which told us we have modified some. And no change is added to commit. Let's be nasty now and say, let's commit those in our local directory. So
Hey,
we can,
sorry, Dieter. There's a question in the chat Somebody asked, can you explain again opening the PowerShell within Jupyter, please?
Right. Yeah, I saw that. And we can do it with a terminal here if you have Jupyter Lab. Um, let's see.
Basically, if you're on a Mac, you could just do it within Terminal by typing Jupyter Notebook.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Or Jupyter Lab. You can open the terminal in your Mac, or say Jupyter Lab, and this window will open. And then you can get to the terminal there, or you can use your original terminal. Just have to make sure you're in the proper working directory. Like here, we had to go to the Python Data Science Handbook. So I say git commit everything. Hmm. And oh yeah, when I commit, I have to have a comment. So I say testing. Um, and to get out of that editor, you have to make the escape. And now where am I? Yeah, and then I can quit. To write now. Okay, so I have to write first. This is not something I'm very familiar with. So you see, I write a colon and then it's on the command line, and now I can quit. So now we have committed those. So if I say status, it shows we're on branch master. That's the repository we have. And we are ahead of the origin, which is on GitHub. That's the data science handbook out in the cloud. And we have one commit ahead of them. There's nothing else to commit. So we can also look at git log, which shows us all the different changes that have been made. And I think they're in reverse order. So Jake has changed his own, and yeah, here is the newest one. Carol has now made a change by committing these deletions of the picture. So we've messed it up royally, and I want to get that back again. So what we need to do is first make sure that nothing has changed on the server with the files. So we want to find out, it's possible that Jake has written a third version, for example. So we want to get, oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong window here. We want to git fetch origin. So that basically fetches all the things from the server, and that's done. And we can also look at the status again. We're still in the same. There's nothing else that has changed on the server. So the git fetch didn't actually result in any changes. We're still one ahead because we made these tremendous errors saving. Now comes the fun thing. We say git reset dash hard origin slash master. Now origin master is, as we've seen, that's the one that Jake made originally. That's the repository on GitHub that we want to copy back down. And a reset hard means don't care about what we have in our directories. We'll just overwrite everything. So that will get us everything back to the oh, maybe there's no git reset. Now I had to look up all those materials as well, or those commands. I don't know them by heart, so I had to look them up. And I think it worked though. So I just wanted to show you there is a way to recover if you have made changes and you want to download the original over what you've done. And now if we say there's our branch is up to date with origin master, so we fully restored, and this one has been changed back 6 seconds ago, and we should have the images again. Okay. One thing that Chris didn't get to is in the README here, and he was saying these notebooks require certain modules of Python to run properly. And he says, if you want to make sure you get them, do a conda install. So I'll copy this and I'll go to the PowerShell here. We are still in the Python Data Science Handbook. I think it doesn't matter. We could actually go back up. So if I say paste this, conda install file requirement.txt. Oh, but it won't know where the file is. Oh yeah, I found it. So it will try and update everything. No, it didn't find it. So I need to go back to this directory here. I'll use the launcher to get it in this directory. Here's the requirements.txt. If we look at that, it needs NumPy, which is not surprising, pandas and so on, and some that I think Anaconda has not installed. So I'll do one as an example. You can do the rest if you want to, or maybe it'll do it all once we do it properly here. So I'll paste again conda install file requirements that we got from the README. And okay, now it found the file and it's starting to install. Now this is a fairly old textbook, and some of the versions that were specified in the README are old, like they're not available. Matplotlib 1.5.1, that was in the README, that was a requirement, no, in the requirements. Matplotlib 151. Now, if we want to see what actually is installed in ours, we can go to the PowerShell and say conda list, and that will list all the packages we have. And we have matplotlib. So these have been installed by Anaconda, and there's a matplotlib, and we're at version 3.10.0. So yeah, it says I cannot find this old version of Matplotlib. I have a newer version. And unfortunately, that means that that whole update that we tried to do, it stopped here. It says the following packages are not available. You can search for it, but we know we have a newer one, so we don't want to do that. If you go through and look, say, at the README, no, at the files list, the requirements, for example, the line profiler. If we look at for the line profiler, that's one that has not been installed. So we can install that separately. We can say conda install, what was it? Line profiler. And it will go and it's an Anaconda package, so it will get the newest version of the line profiler. So these packages, you probably will not run into problems if you don't have them all, because we're still all beginners and we're using the fairly basic section of the Python Data Science Handbook. If you go into machine learning and things like this, there might be data sets that are not available anymore because they got moved. And that's something in Python that the maintainers of these packages, say NumPy or this package that we just installed here, the align profiler, they might change functions around, or often a package gets deprecated, it gets retired because all the functionality gets incorporated into another one. So often we have problems if we have some packages of one version and other packages of other versions, and they don't, one package might look for a file somewhere and it's not there. So we might run into problems. And with this notebook, that might be an issue. And generally, when you write Python code, that is an issue that packages will evolve. And as you upgrade, some things might break, especially if you have been using functions or procedures that have been deprecated, that have been flagged as not being in that package anymore in the future. Okay, that much for GitHub and Git. Are there any questions at this point? Okay, great. I hope you haven't gone to sleep yet. So let's go back to the other directory. So I'm going up and going to the CIP again, and here's my untitled, and here is the demo of the GitHub. So I can, yeah, I can start a new one here. Let's see, how do I start a notebook? And it's another untitled. If I save as, then I can give it another title. So it's that's all the directory. And let's say more tests. Okay. And so now we have the more tests here. And I wanted to include an image. So I'm just copying that from my notes here. I need to be in Markdown if I want the image. And this is basically a way of the source is in the image subdirectory, and it's called carol.jpg. I give it a little name, and I say how big it should be, and it gets rendered that way. If I want to see how big the original is, I can just remove the width and height, and it will render it at its original size. So that's what's really nice about the Jupyter notebooks. You can format things, you can make them look pretty, you can kind of write a document that's live, like the Python Data Science Handbook is. There's another example that I took the code from that Alex wrote, or you all wrote together with Alex 2 weeks ago. So the two sums converging is the one where we looked for the two sums from two sides. And that's pretty much just copied, pasted from what was posted, the nested loop. And yes, Vicky, that needed to go, that one, let's see, the return false needs to go all the way to the flags. Otherwise you get some nones returns. So these are basically just saying we import some cells, we define the functions, and you see the one, it executed it. This is just markdown text saying we want to check it for the examples, and so here are all the examples. And yes, it did everything that it should do. properly. At this point, we don't really know which one is better, which one is faster. We certainly have seen that the nested loops is easier to understand. But if we want to see, we can make tests actually. And one way I thought, let's make a worst case test. If we make a list that has just all even numbers, none of them will add up to an odd. And so both algorithms have to do all the checks with all the pairs of numbers and to find out what the how fast it is. We'll make lists of increasing length here up to 1,000,000. So it's working on it. And then you see the nested has taken 3 seconds for 10,000 numbers to check because it does a double loop. And it took even longer for 2,000, more than about 4 times as long. And then that's why I limited, I wouldn't even run this nested loop anymore for longer ones. And for the convergent one, one thing that we needed to do is, and Alex did that in the function itself, is to sort, because you need to sort before you can start to go from both ends. And so I time it here by using the time module performance counter, which gives us seconds of performance from the calls that we have, like T1 is the lap time and Tend is when it's done. And so the converge algorithm is very, very fast, but the sorting gets a little slower. But still, for 1,000,000 points, it's still much less than a second. Whereas the loop, the nested loop for just 20,000 was very long, and we would still be waiting for the next ones. So you have the copy of this. If you copied the repository, you can look at it if you like. I like Jupyter Notebook for these problems. You can basically lay out the thought pattern of what you did when you solved something, when you programmed something. Okay. All right, so now let's see. I also have a Python file here. Where is the function example? And these are very simple, just to illustrate something. So return first element of a list. It takes the index 1. And you will remember that that's not the first element of a list. The index actually starts with 0. So that's not true, but let's run with it for a while and see how Jupyter interacts with it. We can also square the list elements, and this is basically how Chris showed how you can use let's see. Oh yeah, it's a for loop. In NumPy, you wouldn't have to have the loop, but here we basically go through the loop and square each element and put it back in the list. And so we don't need to return anything because the list is still it has been muted, it has been changed. So we can use those functions. First, we need to import the function f. So I just give it a name f because it's shorter. Now I can say f dot return first element, and we get a list of 1, 2, 3, and run this, and it returns 2, which is not really correct. So I realized that now, and I said, oh, I need to go and change this function. So let me do that. I'll go and actually correct this. I make it 0 and I go and save. And I can close it again. And now let's run it again. Well, it's still not giving the right answer. So I say, let me import again. And now it should work, right? Because we corrected it, we imported again, but no, it has not actually updated the function because the compiler says, you already imported that. I don't need to import that anymore. I know everything that you wanted me to know about this function example module and this return first element. So if you do that, if you have functions that you're calling that you then change, what you need to do is go to the kernel and restart the kernel. Basically, you have to say, clear your memory, forget that we loaded it. We want to redo everything. Now, if I say import, you see it started with 1 again. This will now return the correct value. Questions to this? Okay, good. All right, so where are we? I have so many things I want to talk about. I have a little list that I need to go through and figure out what I've shown and what I haven't. I did not. Oh, yeah, you didn't know you could. Yeah, that's, you remember we did decomposition. We basically said, let's keep our main code clean and put functions at the end of or somewhere else, not in the main. We can also put it in a file, and that's really nice if you know. I've done this properly, and it's a long function. You can put it into a Python file, and as long as it's in the same directory as your more tests notebook or program, it could be a Python program too, it will import as if this was a module. So you can basically, if yeah, you can import that like that. Okay. Okay, I guess we're doing pretty well on time. I think that's all I wanted to show on Jupyter Labs. So yeah, if you're still wondering about the difference between labs and notebooks, where's the navigator here? We pretty much have the same, should have started it. We have similar tools. I don't. So we see the files, and we have the CIP. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to double click there. And this is the notebook that we had. Yeah, they all want to sell you their AIs. Okay, so I'll go now to talk about VS Code. And if you installed it separately, you can open it up from however you open it up. We can also use the launcher here, which will use the kernel that was installed with Anaconda. And if it usually it asks, do you trust those authors? Of course, that's my own directory. I can
Hey,
trust myself.
Dieter, can I ask you to do something where you're talking about VS Code? And so for the assignment for next week, when we talk about images, there is a file on the Google Drive. Can you download that folder? And then there's actually a file in there that's called simple image. Okay. I just was wondering if you could um, open up one of the starter codes because because for those codes to kind of work correctly, that simple image has to be in your folder when you open up those um, starter codes. And so that might be a good place to start. Okay, week six material download.
Mhm. So everything here,
Um, well, okay.
or shall we just take one example, an image?
Well, you can't just do that. Okay. Uh, can you go one level up? If you go one level up, it should show you a folder. I would just download that whole entire folder.
Oh, I see this level up. Yeah.
Yes, you'll see the week six image. Just grab all that.
Okay. I think I did download. Let me see if I have the images yet. Oh, yeah. So we
Okay,
have
yeah.
the. You want the whole folder or just the images?
You need the full whole folder.
Okay.
Because if you open the folder, right?
Okay. All right. So we. Okay. All
Okay,
this.
right. If you open the whole folder, okay, um, those are the starter codes that says Python source files. And then I believe, um, okay, there's a file called simple image. Okay, that has to be there for all of this to run. And then that subfolder of images actually has the images for the assignments.
Yeah.
And then I believe the path is linked in such a way that those images has to stay in those subfolders
Right. It's a
for the
relative
yeah.
path. Yeah. Yeah. You probably, I don't know if you followed, but I downloaded it zipped it and dragged it over into my CIP working area. So one thing in Visual Studio that you always have to do is decide what's my working space, what's the folder I want to look at. And usually the best way to do that, because right now we're in the top folder, which I don't want to be in because it's confusing. There's a lot of stuff. So I say open folder and I say I want just the CIP folder here and I select that folder. And now it's a little more, um, it's easier to see. And here's your week 6. And can we run one to see if it works? Or do you not want to do that yet?
Oh no, I don't care. Well, you can pick an easy one. You could probably do, um, yes, you can probably do that one. Or you could do maybe code in place filter, maybe. I don't actually remember which one hasn't been done, but
Okay. Okay. Oh, it started code. Get file. Well, let's run it. So um, you see that there's the run button, run Python file. So I can just run that. It will open up an instance of Python and it complains File not found in images quad. Yeah, let's, I think that's because our main directory is now the CIP. And I think what you're assuming is that the main directory is the week 6 images. So
Mhm.
let's open up a folder again and pick the,
Week 6 images.
yeah, where am I? CIP week 6 images. Select that folder. And you see it completely changes. It actually remembers, if I go back to the previous one, it remembers what files we worked at. So it's nice. You can work in different folders and VS Code will remember what you had open and reopen the same things. So we have the filters. Where are the filters? This one. And run it again. It didn't do it.
Is it somewhere else on your computer?
Ah, there it is.
There we go. Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. And so that
Oh,
worked.
I ran it twice. Okay. Yeah, that worked.
Okay. And so, sorry. And so when you guys download that folder, you just need to remember to download the whole entire folder and then make that folder your home directory. Otherwise, the VS Code wouldn't necessarily work properly. And then also within that folder, there is a subfolder that has some videos and slides. And the actual assignment. Those are not starter codes. Those are just for educational purposes. You can watch and learn about how to manipulate images.
Okay, good. So that's good for all the other students to see so they can prepare. Yeah, so basically what was important is that when you take the folder, the week 6 folder, you unzip the whole thing and then put it somewhere where you make that week 6 folder the main folder here, that you say open this one, select that one and not another folder. Okay. Um, all right. So anything else you want to say about VS Code? You seem to have just as much experience as I do.
No, we do have a question in the chat about VS Code. I don't know what that means. Maybe you can take a look at it.
Oh yeah, in the past I used VS Code and found that sometimes I had problems with some libraries, lots of previous installed, for example, not only for data science, maybe I should work with virtual environments for each project. Um, yeah, basically virtual environments, when you look at the Python that you're running, um, where does it show it? Oh, I need a Python file for it to show. It will show here that we use Python and actually, let's see, where is it? Um, oh, here it is, base. It says base here. And you can have different interpreters or different environments. And a lot of professional um, programmers don't have just one environment. Here we're in the base environment of Conda. And Conda lets you make other environments too, which are kind of different playgrounds, sandboxes, and you can have a Python installation in this sandbox. You can have one over here. You can import NumPy here. You can import a different version of NumPy there. You can play with things. And so you say, this is my production environment. You don't want to touch it to test out the new module. That might mess up something. So yes, it's a good idea to make a virtual environment where you can copy your code over and you can then add your potentially dangerous module or update the module and see does my code still run, or did I use functions that are no longer supported? So yeah, if it is generally a good idea and it's recommended, but it can also get fairly confusing if you work with virtual environments to know where am I. You have many different lives. So we just have the base environment and installed, and you see um, if I we can use the Python from the basically Miniconda Python that Anaconda installed, and that's the only one I have. If you have virtual ones, you could select from which one you want to run this code. Okay, so oh yeah, I wanted to get back to the other folder, open folder, this one, the demo. And we have, say, the two sums notebook. You can actually open that in VS Code as well. And you see the heading is rendered properly, but the formulas would not be rendered properly. So it's just, it doesn't have everything that you get in the Jupyter notebook or Jupyter lab, but you could run this just as we did before in the Jupyter. So now it's connected to the kernel. It found it. It's activating the Python environment, the base environment, and it's still doing it. Yeah, so Anaconda, for some reason, is often quite slow. Now it did it. It took 1.1 second, it says. And then I can run this code again, run that code again, or just define that function, and it will do it. And if I want to stop it, I can say Control C. I thought, oh no, this is Jupyter. I'm thinking of Python files.
So
um,
here, did you just pull in your Jupyter file and run it in VS Code instead?
yes,
Okay. And so it's just the output would look different depending on whether you run it in Jupyter or VS Code, right?
right, right. So let's see. I guess I could run. I I can go back a level up to the Python Data Science version 1. Select folder. Now that's and we can open this again. And yeah, it has the images. They came in okay. So a lot of things do work in VS Code. And I guess the links work just as well. Yeah. Yeah, you can use VS Code for that.
Oh, and then were you going to talk about get collabs with VS Code?
I was not planning to know. Colab is basically similar to Jupyter Notebooks. It's just an online service. It's
No,
provided by Google.
but my understanding is there's a separate collab. I think it's called like Get Collabs that you could actually get that to work with VS Code, and then it will actually kind of like help you write code using AI.
Um, yes, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
Basically, yeah, you confused me when you said collab because that to me is a Google thing. But yes, we'll use the, what is it called? Um, well, this little thing here, the Copilot.
Oh yeah, yeah, sorry, Copilot. Um, where's that icon?
Uh, oh, down here you see where all the way at the bottom, there's a little mouse or something that's crossed out because I haven't logged in yet. and we'll get there. Okay. Okay, so one thing that is nice about Jupyter, no, sorry, about VS Code is if I have the function example here. Okay, I don't really have much to look at here. But if I say import, oh, why is it so slow? I can hover over, say, the module, and it tells me a little bit about what is this module about. So this is just VS Code. It will basically resolve, if it has NumPy, it will say, oh, I found it, it's in the library. I can go there and I can give you a little bit of information. And if I later say, let's see, A equals NP array of a list, you can also hover over this and get some information on what is array. The object it takes is any object, D type, and so on. It basically gives you a little bit of information on that function. You can also, on a Windows machine, right click and say go to the definition. I don't know what the click is on the Mac, and it kind of opens a little window where we are now at the NumPy library. Let's see, can I make it bigger? No. And you can look at the code there and say, oh, array is an overload of some other array, and it does this and that. So it can get fairly technical, but if you're not sure what the arguments are, what the function does, often it has explanation. Let's see, we had some sorts, right? Sorted, or no, sorted. That was NP sorted, right? Yeah. No, that's not the one. Well, that's it's not in NumPy. That's actually in Python itself. And again, there's many different sorteds with different arguments that are possible, and that's why you have all these overloads. Sorry about this example. It's not a great one. What did I want to show you? I wanted to show you how to, so you saw how to run things. Do I have an example function? The debug example. Okay, so we import NumPy, and as I said, we can hover over it. I define a function here and then just call it in the main. First we make an array, then we print it, then we square it, we print the squared array, we convert it to a list, and so on. So when you run this, it throws an error. It says square list to list squared doesn't work, basically. And if you want to look at where that happens or what happens, you can set a breakpoint. You see my cursor, if I go to the left of the numbers here, you see the red dot. And I can say, oh, I want to put a breakpoint here. And when you run it now, It will not break if I just run it normally. You have to actually go into the debug mode, which is here, run and debug on the left here. That triangle with the copilot. I say run and debug. I have to use the Python, or can use the Python debugger, and to want to debug this currently open one. And it will start a Python instance in the debug mode. And you see, we got to this point, we have the yellow decoration on the red spot. So that's where we are. We have not executed that yet, so nothing has been printed. But we see that in the variables here on the left, we have the array. I can open up the array. It has a length, a size of 5, a shape 5 comma nothing. So often that's how NumPy has the shapes. If it's a 2D array, it would say 5 comma second um, dimension. And you see the D type, the data type is int 64. So that's an integer, very long integer. It uses 64 bits. And we can now go through, you see the symbols here at the top of the page. That's the stop. This is the restart. And the one I want to do now is step over. That's basically stepping line by line in this program. The step into is used when you go to a function and that's somewhere else. You can say, yes, I want to step into that and look at the function. But if you say, oh no, that function works, you can step over it. So the print we cannot really go into. That's just a very simple one. So we continue. And oh, sorry, that I wanted to step over. So let's start over. I run and debug. It remembers my settings from before. It will run and stop at the breakpoint. Now I step over and I define a squared array. And you can see that the squared array is also size 5. It's still an int64 type. I go on, I say I want to convert that to a list. Now we have the list here. And if we look at that, it has the elements length 5. But if I look at what this is, it doesn't have the D type. If I say, I wonder what type that is, I can go down here. You see we're in the terminal. I can go to the debug console, switch the tab, and you see the cursor here. I can actually print certain things. I can say, oh, I want to see what the list is. No, what did we call it? What the squared array is, and enter, and it shows it. I can also print the type of to list, say the first element. And if I execute that, it says this is an int. It's not an int64 anymore, it's just an int. So Python, when it converted, looked and said, oh, these are all small integers. We don't need these long integers that NumPy was using. And if we continue again, we get to this command where we have the list. You can see it actually shows me as I move here the execution, it shows me what the to list is. Now we want to square that, and it will throw the error because we cannot do that with list. We would have to loop through the elements of the list or use NumPy because NumPy has been written with the goal of allowing vectorization where you act on the whole vector, on the whole array all at once. My imports fail when trying examples. Examples, I'm not sure I understand because I don't know which example and which imports. Okay, so that's debugging. It's powerful if you have problems, which we all do, and want to figure out where it crashed. So you can put the breakpoint before and step through and get a little more information and see what's going on. And it's also nice to have that variable inspector, basically, where you can say, let me see how my data is organized, because you might not remember anymore what you did a year ago. And is this a NumPy array? Is it two-dimensional? How many? What's the data type, and so on. You can look at that by setting a breakpoint and looking at it. Okay, Copilot. Now we're gonna have fun. So let's see, Copilot, where are you? It's probably an extension. Oh, one thing I wanted to show is also up here on the right, there's the split editor. If I select that, it will open a copy of the same. And I can actually then change what I'm looking at. Oh, now I looked at the same thing. So now I'm active on the left side, and I can look at the function example. I can have them both open at the same time. Again, like in the Jupyter lab, it's nice if you have code, you can look at some windows together at the same time. Okay, so let's see. So here's the icon down here. I want to enable Copilot. Of course, it wants you to log in. Oh, I must already have logged in. Yeah, so typically when you do that at home and you don't have a GitHub account, it will ask you to create a GitHub account. So that's probably the first step. Go to github.com, make an account, and you can play around with it. Then you go to VS Code and you give the same credentials as you did for your GitHub account. So now I have the Copilot, and I thought that would usually come up as a window. Ah, there it is. Now it's up on top here. There. And you see that you have this window on the left, on the right. Let's close those and make a new one. A Python file. Okay, so now we have Copilot enabled. And if I say, for example, import NumPy, it suggests as NP. I didn't type that, so I can just hit tab and say, all right, fine, I like that. I don't know why it's so slow. And now it says, oh, most users, when they import NumPy, they also want to plot something. Do you want to import the matplotlib pyplot as PLT? That's a common way of importing the plots. You see, it's still not as colorful. It's not, and it's italicized. So if I say, no, I don't want that, I hit enter and I can do something else. But if I say, yeah, sure, again, then I say tab, and now it suggests generate some data. So it says, oh, you want to play around? Let me help you. And you can basically say, oh yeah, we used the NumPy linspace, which basically is from 0 to 10 in 100 different steps. And I want to plot the sine of x and call it sine wave and label the axes and have a grid and then show the plot. So again, to accept that, I can tab, and now I can run it and it should show that plot. First, it asks me to save it, okay? And here it is, that's the sine wave with a grid and labeled. So that is fine, but now let's see. I want to ask Copilot, and Copilot looks at my active window, and it's the window down here. And I ask Copilot, I say, please overlay cosine as well. So I'm asking it, I don't want to just see the sine wave, but also the cosine. And let's see what it
Sorry,
suggests.
Dieter, I'm not seeing where you're asking Copilot because that part of your screen is not showing up for me.
It's not.
I can see it.
Um, it's on the right. So let's
Lower
see.
right.
Can
Oh,
you see
okay.
it now?
Okay. Yes, I can see it now. And so I'm sorry, how did you get to that screen?
You must have a lower resolution than I do. I'm sorry. And so when I maximize it, it's off your screen.
Yes, I can see it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was there. So the Copilot is on the right. I can close it,
Okay.
hide the secondary bar, and I can get it back. How?
Someone actually
Oh,
told
here.
me that you have to pay for the Copilot. Did you have to pay for the Copilot?
No, I think it depends on usage.
Okay.
What you need to do is open up a GitHub account.
Yeah.
But if you have little requirements, it's just you want to make. I'm not sure if you can have private repositories,
Yeah.
but public ones certainly you don't need to pay. I never paid a cent to Microsoft for that. Okay, so to ask it, we sent a
Wait,
dispatch.
so I'm sorry, how did you open it up?
Oh, up here at the top, that little the toggle chat.
Okay, and then what do you do with it?
Then it has that window on the right. So let me go through that again. So um, over here, toggle chat, you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And so then it opens the sidebar.
Yep.
And I can reset the chat here. Show chat, new chat. So now it's cleared, basically. We don't have any history
Well,
because
I mean, if you open up that toggle, it doesn't automatically load the Copilot, right?
you had to log in.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so in the beginning down here, it said, let's see, I think do I remember how to log out of the Copilot? I've done that before. Um, yeah, I cannot think of it right now, but
That's okay.
yeah, it basically when you open VS Code the first time, it demands that you activate Copilot because Microsoft wants to know what you're thinking, what you're
Hmm.
doing, and they want you to use Copilot. So they're upfront about it, and it's probably in the extensions here on the left. You see these are extensions. There must be a Copilot if it's not installed. Um, yeah, you can bring it up that way probably.
And then you have to install it from there, right?
I don't think there's much to install. It's basically you have to log in because
Okay.
VS Code, I mean, Copilot doesn't do work on your computer. It does work on the Microsoft server.
Okay.
So when you, uh, let me do that query again, overlay cosine as well. When I sent that off, what the Copilot on my computer is doing it is looking at my file, which is called import numpy as np.py, and takes my query and sends it to wherever the server is, and the large language model cranks it and says, here is a suggestion. So sine and cosine waves, it calculates the y cosine and creates a plot and has the second plot that makes is the cosine. Now, let's see, I can usually it asks, do you want to move that over? It hasn't changed it yet. I guess I can copy and paste and run it again. And now it has both cosine and sine. So far we didn't really have to code anything because it was suggesting everything. Of course, if you do it that way, you're not getting to what you actually want to do. You're just getting to what it suggests. So I wanted to give you some other examples that I ran before, but now with the large language model, you never know what comes out. It could be wrong. It could be a mirage that it thinks up, but also there's some randomness built in. And so you do one thing once, you have the same prompt, it will not give you the same exact implementation. So we'll see if we get the same as when I tried it before. So I want to get a new chat. Oh, not switch to chat, new chat. Where was that? Ah, there. Okay, so what I wanted to do is query. I want to get a forecast for the weather at Stanford, and instead, if you just say, "Give me a forecast of the weather at Stanford," it will give you a forecast. It will not give you the code. So I basically have to tell it, "Give me the code," or in lingo, query weather service. Yeah, fine. To get forecast for. And so I sent that off. It's thinking a long time. Okay, so it says you can use a public API. And with an API is basically an interface to talk to other computers. And so it's the openweathermap.org. We could follow the link here and see. It says I have an invalid API key. So this is a service you have to register. You get an API key, and then you have to provide that API key somewhere in this code. Where, oh yeah, your OpenWeatherMap API key. Now, this is fine. And most of these services, of course, they need to know that they're not being abused, that they're not being spammed. So they need to know who's sending them these queries. For weather, it's probably not so critical. And I know that there's one that doesn't require an API key. And so I'll say use the National Weather Service. Because the US National Weather Service does have a way to get forecasts. And it does not require an API key. So I can apply in editor. So I can just basically click on that symbol here up here, and it'll copy it over. And if I run this, where is the run button now? Oh, the file, it saved it and didn't keep it open. Oh, it's a txt file. It doesn't know. I need to save it as a .py file. .py. Okay. Now it knows it's and again, requests is a module that basically does web interfacing. This is a live link. I could control click to see it. What it does is it provided to me, and that's the Copilot. It said these are the latitude and longitude of Stanford. So if you want to get the weather exactly at the Stanford, I think it's a cell that's like 2 miles by 2 miles, something like this. So it's fairly detailed, and it's different from Redwood City or the next city over. I can get that. Now, if I run it, It's not a lot of text. It's basically tonight partly cloudy with low around 57. And then it has Thursday night, Friday, and Friday night. So this is something I actually use personally. I send myself an email every morning at 5:30. So I have my email and it tells me what the weather will be where I live, which is different coordinates. And I think they, we could ask, so if you don't know what your coordinates are, and this only works for the US, by the way, but if you don't know what your coordinates are, you could ask, there's another query basically that you can use to figure those out. Okay, so one thing that I ran into, I wanted to show you something else, and that'll be the last thing that I'll do. Start another file, new file, Python, and save it. And I'll call it population. And I'll have to do a new chat that's up here, because otherwise it'll try and integrate it with the weather forecast. So I'll just copy my prompt that I used. Write a program to query the world population for the last 20 years. So that should be an increasing graph or table. It doesn't say how the table, the data should be rendered. So I'll send that off. And it says, it suggests using the API at the World Bank. So the Copilot is nice. It shows you all these APIs, and this one doesn't need a key either. So we don't have to go and register and copy the key, create a key and copy the key. But that can be done, like if you want to send out Gmails from your Gmail account, you have to go to Google and say, I want the API key to send Gmails. And so there's a few hoops to jump through. So, so let's use that and see what it does. I run it. There. Oh, oh, I see. It didn't copy the whole thing. That's interesting. Huh. Okay. Sorry, I have trouble with Zoom here. Syntax error. And I'm not sure why it's, I cannot. Yeah, that's basically, I'm not sure. Oh, that has not happened before, that it, oh, keep, okay. Oh, maybe that was it. That it just needed to. Ah, okay, now it does it. And it does 1 year after another, which is kind of inefficient. So you see, it first gets the URL, and it says if the report status is 200, that's fine. Then we know we have data. If it's something else, we throw an error. We try something else. The current year, and then it makes a list of years that goes into the future, which does make sense. And then it prints the list basically, and it loops over the years in this list year and does a query get world population. And this is very inefficient because instead of one query, it does 20 queries. And so it has to connect to the server 20 times and get it back. So you're not always getting great code from an AI. So what I'll ask it, say, please make query more efficient. I ask for a range of years. And I think it'll do it. So now it says, yeah, it gets world population range with start year and end year. So we'll say, okay, let's accept that. So I think it should rewrite the code over here. And you see what it changed from the last time. Since I said, please do it better. It got a different function from the package, from the API package. And updated the comments. And now the query is a little different. And then the loop is basically only over the results and not over the query. So I say, okay, keep those modifications. And when I run it again, it should be a lot faster. Yeah, so it dumped it all at once because it didn't have to query in between. And if you say this is not, it's nice, but I want to see a graph, you can say add. So it still knows what it did before because we're in the same query, and it has the thing that we did before. It has a main where it has the graph, and they say, okay, that looks fine. Let's apply it and keep the changes and run it. And there it is. Okay, so that's all I had. I hope that made sense. Hope you didn't glaze over. I know it's a lot. There's so many options and tools and commands, but I hope you could follow along. And there's also great tutorials online. So if you go to VS Code, the download page, I'm sure there's tutorials, there's YouTube videos of various things, but I wanted to just give you a flavor of what you can do to present data in Jupyter notebooks or to troubleshoot problems or figure out how to use Copilot to help you code. But again, always be sure that you look at what the AI is suggesting. It doesn't always make sense. It's not always the best solution. And it does not, as far as I know, do a very good job at decomposition. Say, if you have one function, you might need to move it to a separate file later on and kind of keep track of your code so it doesn't just grow and get unwieldy. All right. So with that, I'm done. I can stay on, of course. If you have questions, I'll be happy to